Welcome to TigerComp. This is Word 1. This is this might not be your first experience with Word, but this is the first tutorial we're going through. And for this first one, we're really just looking at two very basic concepts to introduce you to Word as you start to learn about different phrases and terminology that I'll be using throughout this course. First of all, we're going to look at page setup, and then finally we're going to look at line spacing. So when it comes to Microsoft Word, in front of you on my screen is, or on your screen in this case, is the tutorial, which you can pick up from the back of the room, or you can upload it from or download it from Office 365. Two places to access these directions. But basically what I want you to do is I want you to create a new Word document, and the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go and change the margins on that. To change the margins, you're going to go up to Page Layout. This is what we would call the tabs, these words right up here, and these words down here are known as ribbons. Alright, and so these are words I'm going to be using. When I say tab, I'm going to talk about this, but I'll also be talking about ribbons when it comes to finding different sections. So if you go to the Page Layout tab, and we come over here to Margins, all right, it looks a little bit different in 2010 if you're on a laptop, but this is 2013 in the video. If we click down on Margins, we have a number of options just to choose right from the start, or we can go to what's called Custom Margins, and we're going to get a pop-up just like this, very similar to what you're seeing on the screen. All right. Now, margins allow you to change the numbers on the sides, top, left, bottom, right. It allows you to change the picture, whether it's portrait or landscape, right? If I click landscape, it would make it look, wider instead of taller. Portrait being the taller. I'm going to keep it tall because I don't want to mess up my document too much. All right. But this is what you're going to go, and you're able to just go ahead and shift the numbers as you need to according to the specifications in that. I am going to cancel because I don't want to change mine, but for you, all you need to do is click OK and it'll make those changes. So right here in the directions it says you should have 1-inch margins on the top, bottom, and then the left and right margins need to be 0.75. So you'll go to that menu and change the left and right to 0.75. All right. Then other things about Microsoft Word, we're going to work a lot with really this first page. In the first part of the year, we're going to talk about, we've already been to page layout. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We'll get back to paragraph and line spacing in just a minute. But most of this other stuff you're going to get throughout your time as you learn more and more and more about Word. We're going to get into headers, footers, page numbers later this year, a little bit into pictures and stuff, but you get a whole lot more of that as the years progress. Our first focus is really understanding what's known as the Home tab, understanding our fonts, understanding how paragraphs work. Styles really aren't going to affect us too much right now. Copy, cut, paste, what all those different phrases mean. If we go to the font section, the font ribbon, you can see lots of different options. You have what's known as your font, you have your font size, you have some shortcuts to change your font size, bold, italicized, underlined, all these different things, which really gives you the options to do all this stuff that's being talked about in this paragraph. And our next lesson is really going to focus on these things, and we're actually going to do this a number of different times. First of all, just learning about this, and then eventually learning about the shortcuts to make it even faster. All right. Now, as you're following the directions, it says to hit enter 2 times on your keyboard. So if you had a blank screen open, all right, I'm going to go to this one. All right, you'd press enter 2 times. So there's 2 enters there. I can actually press this little fancy symbol there, and these little P-looking things backward. That's the symbol for enter. All right, and I'm going to turn my symbols back off. And what you're going to do is you're going to actually copy this paragraph. It's only about 3-4 sentences, but it gives us the length that you need for this tutorial. And as a part of your homework, you're working on your challenge for Welcome to the Web. And once you get through the challenge, you're going to figure out who is the creator of this destructive computer virus. And instead of this blank line right here, you can actually just type the name of the person that you found that created that virus, and that will let me know that you finished the challenge for Welcome to the Web. All right. But as the tutorial says, it says press enter twice. It talks about doing this fantastic summer vacation. I'm telling you to do this instead. However, you do want to keep in mind that you want to follow these rules. Begin each sentence with capital letter, end each sentence with proper punctuation, spell each word correctly, put one space after each punctuation mark, and don't write run-on sentences. Now, hopefully that shouldn't be a problem because all you have to do is copy the paragraph that I already wrote. But I'll be looking for those things when I go to grade it. If you have spelling mistakes, if you have different things like that, your points are going to go down. All right. Then the last thing with this tutorial that you're going to work with is you're going to do what's called line spacing. Make sure you're typing in this. I don't want to forget that. Times New Roman size of 10 point. All right. Right now this is Times New Roman, but it's actually in 14 font, so I'm going to actually move it to 10 so you're going to get a sense of what yours should look like when it's done. All right. The only difference is you're going to have a name instead of that underlined line right there. All right. Back to the tutorial then. We want to change the line spacing, and the line spacing is the space between the lines. Fancy that. All right. And usually when you type papers and different things like that, the initial line spacing like this is you can find a quick shortcut right here with line spacing, and usually it's 1.0, sometimes it's 1.15, depending on the defaults of your computer. Often for writing class you'll be asked to type in double space 2.0. That makes it easier to correct, easier to read, also easier to edit as you're going through it. So that's an important skill that you want to do. What we want to do in this tutorial is we're going to move to double spacing. All right. Now I went to this little shortcut which allows you to do that, but we want to go to a more advanced menu to help us do that, and that's where we're going to go to this little arrow thing right here called paragraph settings. I'm going to click that, and now we get a full range of options here. We got alignment, outline level, indentation, left and right. We got our spacing before and after, and this is really what we're looking at right here. Okay, so we have that option. I'm going to close that. Another thing you can do is you can go and you can kind of select what you have and right click, and you can go to the paragraph tab like that, and you get that same menu popping up to be able to work with that. All right. All right, so we have this dialog box. You're going to be working in this section as the arrows say. So line spacing, where we want it to change from single to double, and we want to make sure that the spacing before and after the boxes are at 0 points. All right, that puts a bigger space. We don't want it to do anything. All right, and so when you're done, you have your paragraph selected. I'm going to do the right click option. All right, so I'm going to change this to 0, and what am I looking for? Then I'm going to go to the line spacing and choose double. And then once I click OK, you'll see that I now have double spaced lines. Very different than what it looked like before when it was just single space, much more crowded, much harder to read. That double space really opens it up. All right, so I've shown you a couple different ways to do it. So you can see all those different options getting to those menus. And so things will be good if you do that. Once you're done with this, you just need to save it to your flash drive and then upload it to Office 365. And sometime this week, you'll have to watch the sharing video, or if I have the team site set up, you'll be handed into the team site. Okay, so you kind of got a two-part assignment for this week. You got to finish the welcome to a challenge, and then really just type up this paragraph and then fill in the name, doing the different steps from the tutorial, which is changing the margins, right? And then changing the line spacing on this paragraph, and then making sure, of course, that you hand it in. All right. So margins, once again, page layout, margins. You're going to probably go to custom margins, and you can change your left and your right there. And of course, line spacing is all about the paragraph, and you're going to go here for that menu. All right, that is it for Word 1.